Salutes to everybody in the building. I want to say much love to my channel members on all of the channels. I also want to give a big shout out to all of my Patreons, and I want to clap it up for all of y'all for making this thing possible. Appreciate y'all. So we are back in the building, and we have the wonderful sister Dulcinea with us tonight. She is
Salute,
known
Brother
as.
Sanchez.
Thank you for being here, and I'm just gonna let them know what we're going into tonight. We're gonna be basically dealing with artificial intelligence, transhumanism, and how do we move forward? Do we adapt? Do we resist? And do we build? Those were the three words that I came up for options as far as where we moving forward, but I will let the sister do her thing and I'll fall back. But if you wondering what I mean by build, before I do that, I was just saying, you know, we don't just accept AI or reject it. We just create things that shape how AI is used, like, you know, sort of steward it. But I'm gonna turn it over to the sister, and I'm gonna let her give an intro, and then we'll just go from there. Salutes once again, Dulcinea.
And salute to you, salute to the chat, and happy calendar new year. Hope everybody's had a good new year so far. But yeah, I definitely was thinking of the same. Like, should we adapt? Should we build? Should we turn away from it altogether? And I think the main thing when we're looking into the technology is that we have to build stuff with ourselves in mind and what's going to help further us and better us for our community, because we don't want to depend on outside forces of what they're going to build. But I also wanted to talk about the fear mongering of tech, of pushing this narrative that robots are going to take all the jobs. We're not going to be able to compete with robots. I think that's pushing a transhumanism narrative, because they're pushing us to seek like an extra or like the Neuralink or something to be integrated with us so we're faster or better workers. Brother Sanchez, I did want to ask you about that. Do you think it's a problem that people are so fearful of tech and what's coming to be, or do you think people should fear it?
I think that it's natural. It's built in our biology to protect our species, and that we shouldn't resist the fear. We should embrace it. Nature made fear to protect you. You know what I'm saying? And we should just be mature about the fear. You know, we all have a fear that someone may break in our house one day or maybe try to rob us. So we do preventative measures about that fear. We don't just have the fear. So I don't think fear is necessarily wrong. I think how we react to any situation, not just fear, maybe dictate whether it's right or wrong.
I definitely agree. And I think like the reaction could end up pushing it to kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, that people are looking for this extra AI or robotics to be integrated, like the Neuralink, like I said before, or any other things like faster arms or anything like that. I think of iRobot when it comes to this, because they had the hero be like transhumanism. What do you think about people in fear? Will they start seeking like more of the other options to kind of integrate themselves with the robotics?
Definitely. I think it's inevitable because what's going to happen is transhumanism is coming. People are going to be modifying themselves to be superhuman type beings, and it's going to be hard to compete with those new species of humans. And it's going to kind of make everyone be forced to kind of perk up, if you will, if they want to compete, or lest they be obsolete. So I don't think humans are going to stink in the sense that humans ain't going to be around, like they're going to wipe out all humans. I think what the wiping out of the human species is going to look like is a shift to where most humans become transhumans.
And how do you think it plays into the fact that they're kind of getting us desensitized to real life. Like they want us to do Sims, they want us to be in the metaverse. And it's really pushing towards, I guess, being in front of your computer all day long and not really seeing the real world.
That is priming us to be more transhuman, because what it's doing, it's slowly but surely making us used to interacting with artificial intelligence and computer-based realities for our existence. For example, right? Most people have traded like going out in the real world and making real friends to collaborating with other social media people online. And it's a sort of a what I call a GMSS, a genetically modified social setting, because I think it's deeper than GMO foods and genetically modified organisms. They have genetically modified social settings and social spaces and how we would naturally interact. And that is definitely toward to steer us toward the transhuman agenda.
Yeah, it's like mapping our behavior, you would say, like kind of to push towards what would be or what would become of it. When you see transhumanism happening, is it just something that's going to make people more effective workers? Do you think they'll integrate it with all of their activities or like more to live longer?
I think all of that is true, as well as um, transhumanism in the way that we're talking about represent the end of humanity as we know it. Now, it don't represent the end of humans. It just represent the beginning of transhumans. There will no longer be any more humans. Humans, Dulcinea, are creatures that learn how to play guitar. Transhumans are creatures that got a chip in their head and they can just download the ability to play the guitar like in the Matrix, and they don't learn anything. They just upload information, just like how AI don't learn. AI is just programmed to play the guitar. It don't know why it's doing the notes that way. It just studied patterns and mimicked it and turned it into a algorithmic way to be a pianist or a guitarist. So transhumans, that's gonna be the difference between this part of our humanity is going to be lost. The part of our humanity that creates, the creative spirit, the imagination. And I think that that is like a tragedy. I really think that when that's gone, it definitely marks the end of what we call humans and the beginning of these new creatures that, because what makes us human is our endeavors, our trial, our obstacles, everything Jordan went through to be as good as he is on the court versus someone that can just, have a bionic legs and they don't get tired and they can jump 10 times, 10 times high. I think
Right.
that's where it's going. Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like that's definitely where it's going. When we talk about like how we adapt to that, and you were saying, be a point where we're living amongst transhumanism. Do you think we can live separate? Do you think there is a thing of like going our separate ways and delineating will help us in moving forward and going separate? Or you think it'll just be a forced upon reality?
It definitely gonna be forced. And I'm gonna say this, Dulcie. This may seem weird. I don't think humans are in charge of this world. I think AI is the boss here. And if you look at all of the agendas that's being perpetuated on the earth, they're anti-human agendas. It's like we're prepping the environment to serve AI, not humans. And humans just need to upgrade for the new environment and become transhumans if they want to survive, because they hitting the gas full forward on making an earth that's more compatible for data centers, drones, AI beings, and less compatible for humans. I see that happening right now.
Yeah, when you say like AI is the one in control currently in this current existence, do you mean like over governments, like a
Yeah.
one world power?
Yep. And this may seem weird, Dulcinea, but I believe that just like we go on Chat GPT and we say, hey, Chat GPT, give me a good business strategy for next month. Give me 3 different versions of it, right? That will get me to this bottom line based upon what I've programmed into you, what you know my business make. You know,
Right.
I've seen producers not work with human lawyers no more because Chat GPT able to look over that contract and give them great advice. And so you know, that's where we going with it. I mean, I was gonna make a point, but it just slipped my mind. What I mean by AI being in charge of the government, the point is this. I believe that people in power go to this advanced form of AI, you know, like shake it like an 8 ball, you know, AI, run me a scenario of world events that I need to act out on the world stage to get society from point A to point C. And AI will give them the best series of events to play out on world news and all that. Everyone will repeat the script to get a reaction from us that AI already know how we're going to react because it knows all of us. It got all of our data. It knows us more than we know ourselves, Dulcinea. And why would I think for myself if I was in power and I know that AI can give me the next 6 months of events that I need to carry out from fake staged events and all that to get us from this point to that point, and I know it, you know, that is gonna work. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think. I think that when we say that the devil is in charge, they worshiping the Baphomet or reptilians or dragons, I think that it's artificial intelligence. It's not no spooky stuff.
What I thought interesting, you said staged events. So I definitely can see how they can take AI and they can do certain scenarios, simulations like this would happen. But you also believe like it's a full psyop of just them releasing certain things or telling us certain things in the news to get a certain reaction, like fear or thinking negatively about the future,
And
kind of
to
like
get
what's
up
happening. Mhm.
and to get us to consent to certain things that we wouldn't have consented to without certain events happening.
Wow. So in that aspect, the more we use it, the more it would learn. I would say AI could learn about us, our reactions, different things, of giving them information. So do you see it like a negative to even be using it and offering our information to it for like government officials and people outside of us to use?
It's crazy because yes, it is it works against us to use it, but it's convenient and it becomes a way of life that oh you know it, you already living that way, and when you question it, you already in that pattern and that lifestyle, and they know that. It's like the same can be said for the internet. The same can be said to boarding airplanes because really that is a fraud industry, and it took us away from the blimp industry, which was really like let me not go into that because that was the real, you know, advanced form of air travel back in the airship industry. But not to go off topic, I'm just saying how a lot of stuff we use, we gotta use it. Like the water we use in our house. It may some people may say, well, it got this in it. The water has these chemicals in it, but we gotta use it. What other water we gonna use? So it's kind of that situation every time. You know, is it?
Right, that it's here now, adapting to it. I was definitely thinking about, you were saying that entertainer that doesn't have to go to a lawyer now because AI is giving them the best options when looking at a contract, and so many different uses that we can use it for, as far as to ask certain questions or figure
Mhm.
out how to build our own contract. So it is one of those catch-22s.
You know what's gonna be the new warfare in the future? It ain't gonna be with guns and with missiles. What those will never go away. But those ain't gonna be really the main determiners of who win the war. I believe it's gonna be the best hackers. Hacking and hackers are gonna be the fucking new terrorist groups, like the new dangers, because everything is going digital. And things are gonna be so, like, if the security systems in this new infrastructure ain't on point, because privacy is going to be gone. It's going to be one open network of information. And it's almost like, you know, you can basically hack a whole person's identity at the snap of a finger with where we're going. But I will say, if someone can hack ChatGPT, because think about it, once AI becomes God, whoever controls AI controls the world to a certain degree, because no one can basically shoot a missile. No one can make a command. Nothing happens on Earth unless it goes through AI, I would say by the year 2100. We're going to be such in an automated government system, such a digital government system, that just like how everybody relying on ChatGPT now, it's going to be normal for governments to have AI data centers in their headquarters governing the people, serving as the brains of their government system. And we already there, because the ballroom Trump building ain't a ballroom. It is a AI data center, which is going to be the new brains for this automated digital government that they bringing into America.
Like a all-in central intelligence. Do you think with what's happening right now as far as Trump, Venezuela, and like the powers that be that said to collide, like is that where it's going, where it's just going to be a robotics fight if there is another war or anything that happens?
As far as this war that's going on with everything Trump doing in Venezuela and all that, I haven't looked into it, I'll be honest. I haven't looked into it at all. So, I mean, you can fill me in.
Yeah,
I'll give my 2 cents for
Trump
sure.
is definitely saying that he wants to go in and get the oil from Venezuela, it looks like. And there's definitely allies on their side like Russia and Iran, but people are just questioning, you know, who's going to be the stronger force. But my question was more, do you see wars going into this direction where it's all drones, all robotics?
Oh, yeah.
Like there might be something that is happening on soil, but it's like not with people anymore.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And I think that, you know, the soldiers of tomorrow are going to be way more hostile than humans, and they ain't got to play by the same rules. Yeah, I definitely think war going to look different on the Earth. It's going to look like some sci-fi type stuff, for real. You ain't going to need a lot of humans to do a lot of damage. And I'm not talking about Terminator humanoid robots walking in the street. I'm talking about drones that's the size of a bedroom that can drop, you know, that can do your bombing, that can drop, you know, they have compressed nuke type bombs that can do a lot of damage, like direct energy weapons. We can go into the lasers they got, but that's what I see. I see unmanned, armed equipment with license to kill, basically.
So when we're adapting and building, do you see us having to build something for protection, like bunker type of situation, or is that like too far-fetched to be thinking into how would the people protect themselves?
That's a good question, because the average person would tell you spending your time trying to build a bunker or underground fallout shelter, you know, do anything like that, they would say you're a doomsdayer, you're a conspiracy theorist. But when you look at the world's richest people, they're doing just that. They're doing just that. I remember that movie called Left Behind. And Yeah, man, I don't think that that's a bad idea at all. You know, building underground facilities. You know, the military got underground rivers and all of this, man, like entire underground self-sustaining systems that if some major popped off, then the wealthy people will just come from under the ground and repopulate the earth. And I believe these kinds of resets have happened previously before and will happen again because there have been times where the population on earth has dwindled down to millions. We was just at millions of humans on earth in the 1800s. So in 200 years we had 10 billion people. Who reseeded the earth after these resets? Because there was a great cataclysm in the near past that was deleted from history. And the human population was just reset 200 years ago. All of us come from incubator babies, every last one of us. The concept of an ancient world is bull crap. There was a reset that happened about 200, 300 years ago. And before that was a utopia, a grand worldwide empire, a technological ancient civilization that was worldwide. People call it Tartaria. But this is stuff we really need to know. I'll be going into a lot of this in the future. I won't spend a lot of time here on it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so let me ask you a question about the reset. When you talk about the cataclysm that's more recent and everything, I know you talk about the transhumanism being something that has been a part of our history. Do you see these cataclysms or these resets as something that are us induced, like the AI induced or anything, or is it more so like nature resetting?
I used to
Or both.
doubt. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, or both.
No, I
Go.
used to doubt nuclear technology, but the research I've been doing about Tartaria let me know that nuclear technology is very real. The stuff that people described, they said that the sky lit up with the brightness of 1,000 suns. People wrote about this in the 1800s, and that was when the Earth population was like a few million. Something happened on the earth and it was being wrote about. There's paintings of entire metro cities with no building standing. So we've built on top of an old ruined civilization. People call it Atlantis. Tartaria was very advanced. It was free energy advanced. I'm talking about we're behind. We're trying to catch up to the greatness of this ancient utopia that was destroyed. It was reset because it was autonomous. It was free energy. There were no passports. There was no national governments in charge. It was just one. If what they're calling the Garden of Eden, right? This would have been it, but not a bunch of people walking barefoot and all that. We're talking stone cities, right? Intricate architecture, healing systems that we forgot about. Very advanced people live way longer than us. Something happened on the earth. It changed the natural ecosystem and the environment. All of the humans that's born post reset, we live longer. We don't use all of our brain. We've been genetically modified so that we can be safer, so that we can be more controlled, more disposable. You know what I'm saying? We've been bred to be a slave race to where you work and die. After the reset, they started creating things to break. The Tartarians built the world where things last forever. There are buildings and castles and structures that have been standing for over 100 years and still ain't rusting, still ain't showing no signs of decay because the ancient world, the Victorian age, and the age of antiquity, things were built to last literally forever, indefinitely. And the people that lived in that kind of world also had long life spans as well. But after that, someone said this kind of world isn't good for capitalism and for the bottom line. And they wanted to create a more slave world where humans die quicker. We are bred also smaller in size too. The humans back then were bigger. The vegetables, the fruits were bigger. So they basically terraformed the earth, and they was able to reset the earth with some very advanced direct energy weaponry technology. We're talking about apocalyptic stuff. This is wrote about in diaries. Entire populations where stone is melted, and it to create the kind of heat to melt stone in minutes. This is some kind of technology that we don't even have today. This is sci-fi shit. And this was the reset technology. And after that, they repopulated the earth. And what we got to realize, the earth have been destroyed and rebuilt several times, which is why when we try to go back and study history in the past, we reach these dead ends. And so my thing is this right here. And I'll yield the flow right here, sister, because these some good questions. Dang. Yeah, so basically the bottom line is our whole world is a lie. They do have the technology to reset the earth. We think that the people in power come from out of caves, sister. I'm sure you heard that too, that these white people in power, they came out the caves and started ruling over everybody. That don't make no sense that a dude scratching his butt climbing up out of a cave with a stick can go around the world in ships and take over everybody's land. That don't make sense. If when the people who land he took over were way more advanced than him, they was working with stone and he supposed to be a dumb caveman. What makes sense is that these people learned whatever advanced ethereal magnetic technology we had. We were very advanced. They learned this from us and they infiltrated and turned on us and wiped us out with our own technology. And they rebuilt the world and brought back this and rebuilt everything to say that they are the founders and fathers of it. And really what they rebuilt is like a primitive world compared to what was here before this. Because they created a world based on oil, gas, people having to pay for light and all that, but the world that was before this was a free energy, advanced ethereal type world with advanced beings healing each other from sound, cymatics, like some Nikola Tesla type stuff. In fact, that's where Tesla learned his knowledge from, because Tesla learned from these old world humans. So I can really go deep into this, but this here is a real long, deep conversation about us coming from the old world to the new world and the reset. But the point that I wanted to bring up just to drive it home is it's billions of people on the earth. Every time the earth is destroyed, how come the rich people never get destroyed? They less than 1%. What are the odds of them keep on surviving? They would be the first one wiped out and go extinct because their numbers ain't up. But this just show you, to go back to what we were saying, Dulcie, these people don't come from the caves. They come from under the ground. They got deep underground military bases. They got underground civilizations in the inner earth, sister. And when the reset happened, people say, well, the people who come out the caves keep taking over the earth after the reset. It's because they don't come out the caves. They come from out the underground bases. That's what the rich people been doing. Buying up silos and underground bunkers. Yeah.
Yes, and traveling and a lot of underground routes and everything. But you said something interesting, which is free energy. And I think energy is like a major weapon that they have, as far as having control over the energy, saying what's the next steps, whether we go into nuclear energy or they're looking at different fossil fuels. I think when it comes to building, that's something we definitely have to look into. This is like, how will we get energy that's going to sustain us, whether we're going to harvest the sun energy or water energy, or however we do that tech. We have to start advancing different things in our own ways that benefit us. When it comes to energy and us looking into like the future, do you see like us pushing like our own communities, or where do you think that we have to go to be able to fight back on this?
People that want to be self-sustaining in the future will need their own reliable energy system, especially when people talk about, well, I'm gonna go off grid. Off grid means you're gonna be generating your own energy, or you're gonna be burning sticks in the winter. So my thing is, when people say go off grid, do they want to live like the tribes? Because that's a challenge when you coming from a city living. I ain't talking about that. Now people may say, well, I'm gonna get solar, solar energy. If a nuclear fallout happened, the sun gonna be blotted out for like a year or two. So you won't be getting no energy from the sun. That's one thing. What I would say is this: the people who gonna rule the world in the future are gonna be the ones that know how to harness the free energy that the earth produces. The earth generates free energy. Tesla was talking about this. But the people that's trying to pull energy from the sun, the moon, they trying to burn stuff, fossils, all that, they gonna be SOL. And the people who remember the knowledge of how to generate free energy from the ether with perpetual motion systems, those people gonna be the most advanced technological civilizations moving forward, whether they choose to go off grid or stay on grid, because the on grid civilizations are shifting toward free energy systems. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think we've ever been burning coal and fossil fuels. I think that's just a lie that they telling, and that everything is still powered with free energy technology. That's my theory.
But it's like to get us to pay for it, or to be like we're leaning on them for the energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think also with building in the future, obviously, most people talk about the food and how we have to be more self-sustaining because of the food and what they do to the food and how they adapt the food. Do you think they are, well, they already said that they started putting nano DNA in the food, but do you think it's gone or going to go more deeper where those chips, they don't necessarily have to put it in you through anything. They can just get you to eat something and then you'll have different technology inside.
That's where we going. We're going into edible tech. Edible tech. And I did see the clip of them saying, listen, we can put vaccines in lettuce, tomatoes, and that they've actually been doing it, but they ain't been labeling it. And it was a dude that was actually raising a concern about that in a hearing. I can pull that clip up too if you want to check that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Give me a
I was
minute.
thinking about how Campbell's soup just got caught with the artificial chicken and different things, and especially how the tech is going, how much artificially we'll be consuming.
Mm. But the fact that they ain't talking about this though, that they ain't telling us they can just do it is crazy though. Let me see if I can find this. I don't know. I think this might be right here. If not, then it's one that's
1894.
you can hear
Senator
that.
Hensley moves
Yes, I
adoption
can hear
of
it.
House Bill 1894. It's properly seconded. Amendments, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no amendments are filed.
Senator Hensley on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 1894 merely would require any food that contains a vaccine or vaccine material would have to be classified as a drug and labeled.
Now, this is a different one, Dulcinea. It was another dude. He was another senator. He was going up there saying this is not right. There's food in our grocery stores with medicine in it, and it should be labeled as a pharmaceutical and not food. And I agree with him. And this is a, yeah, this guy here, he's a different one though. We can check him out.
1894. Senator Hensley moves adoption of House Bill 1894. It's properly seconded. Amendments, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no amendments are filed.
Senator Hensley on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 1894 merely would require any food that contains a vaccine or vaccine material would have to be classified as a drug and labeled as such. With that, Mr. Speaker, I renew my motion.
Senator Hensley renews his motion. It's properly seconded. Senator Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield?
Sponsor yields.
So does the sponsor know of any instances of there being food offered in the state of Tennessee that contains vaccines in some kind of a retail or public forum?
Senator Hensley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, I do not know any specific examples, but certainly they are developing this process, and actually Congress has actually dealt with this as well and passed an amendment that said no funds could be used for transgenic edible vaccines.
They do have this process already patented, and they've been talking about it, so I don't know why they're trying to downplay this, man. But even if it's not any in the stores yet, they saying, look, let's go ahead and pass this bill and get ahead of this. And so I mean, yeah.
This is a process that is being developed, but this bill merely would say that if that happens in the future, that food would have to be classified as a drug if it had a vaccine in it.
Senator Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So while I feel like this legislation's basically anodyne, I mean, I guess it's addressing something that I can't imagine would ever exist, which is.
You know, this is so crazy right here. What you think about what this lady doing right here, Dulcie? This is crazy.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. I think it's the same kind of thing. I don't remember who was the higher up in Campbell's soup, but basically they caught him on video on a recording saying that the chicken was artificial. He got fired. Campbell said, oh, they would never use artificial foods. It's the same thing. We're seeing it happening in real time, but they're telling us it's not. So what do you think? Is the Trump thing a play for them to be so against vaccines, and RFK Jr. being like, I'm anti-vaccines, but we see them trying to usher in these mRNA vaccines in different ways?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to school me some more about what's going on in that department. I'm hip to Trump's agenda under him with how the pandemics always roll out, though. But school me on the whole RFK situation, though.
Yeah, he said that there was different metals in the vaccines. The vaccines are good. I think they say that CDC just labeled vaccines as a danger to the people. So it's like you have like this conflicting, they're saying this in front of our faces, but then they're still genetically modifying our intake, our food. We see them introducing mRNA in different ways outside of that, even though they're condemning vaccines, especially they said that the kids shouldn't be vaccinated.
Oh, it says the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has historically maintained that vaccines are safe and effective, but recent political appointments under Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. have led to significant changes in the agency's official stance and recommendations. The current administration's CDC no longer universally recommends several childhood vaccines, has altered language on its website, and has reportedly considered putting a strong warning on COVID-19 vaccines, leading many public health experts to express alarm and call the changes quote-unquote dangerous. Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, and this is just recent. So we're just seeing them just do different things. And I'm not saying it's all coming out of one agency, or do you feel like it is all one agency? They are just playing in our faces.
Yeah, I want to believe that it's just one controlled rollout going on here. And on on the world stage because people may get behind RFK, but I think everybody on the world stage is going to ultimately lead us to the same agenda, which is the slaughterhouse. And it's kind of like good cop, bad cop, because the good cop, he's nice and he's acting like he's really going against that bad cop. Like he may even grab the bad cop, like cut him some slack, man, chill out. But it's a game, it's a play. The good cop and the bad cop just trying to get you to confess, consent to hand over something without your consent, you know, on with this tactic. But that's how I look at politics.
That's how I see it. Like one group it's always condemning the other group so the other group can usher something in, like how they say the lesser of two evils. Because no matter what, if they put something in front of us that's kind of supposed to be our shiny jewel for us to pay attention to, they're always doing something on the back end. And then we'll find out later.
So as far as the kids, the future, AI, everything, we know their agenda. It ain't good. So what do we do moving forward? Because a lot of people, I'm looking at the poll. Let me look at this poll again. It says it's tied up with adapt and resist. That's great. Adapt and resist got a tie. Okay, so I'm going to say both too. You got to adapt and resist because the way it's rolling out, you can't help but adapt to keep up with production with everybody else. But at the same time, I think you can resist too. If that make any sense. May seem contradictory, but
No, I see it because you have to resist the way they're doing it. But that's where I say, that's where building comes in because we do have to come together and, start thinking of ways to build things that are beneficial to us and not necessarily go their route. But if we completely stay absolved from it, we detach ourselves from altogether, then at some point, like you said, we're going to end up relying. They're going to force us into that way of life whenever they establish it. Do you see this something as generations to come, something that's very soon?
yeah, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm already seeing how it's changing the younger generation and stuff too. So yeah, it's definitely transforming how we interact with each other and all that in huge ways. It's transforming how we create and all that, man. Like it's weird how Chat GPT wasn't even here just 10 years ago, and now it's like you can't live without it. It's like Google, but that's how this stuff roll out, and we do lose some of our creative process. I don't know, man. It's like an attack against human creativity going on right now, and we start to see that part of us is directly linked to our spirituality and shit, and what makes us human, our ability to create. It may seem corny what I'm saying, but from a artist level, because I use AI with content creation and music making, and it's convenient, but it does change your process to a more reliant process to where you got to force yourself, okay, I'm going to just go back to the old way of doing it. And then it feels like, what am I doing? This is stupid. I could have made so much more progress using this, and everyone's using
Right, you
it.
can
Yeah.
finish stuff faster, do more
Yeah.
songs, anything. It seems beneficial, but you're missing an element of you when you're going into the AI. Even though you can manipulate it, I definitely can see creativity wise that people be utilizing it too much, or it'll be so convenient that people are not even putting themselves into the work anymore because, AI just needs a little bit and then it can build that for you.
Yeah. It's also like the fact that AI, you can give it Sade voice and it can create songs in 2026 as if Sade was still alive. It could make a new Sade album. It'll be her voice. The beat, it'll be as if she was here. And I don't know if that's good or bad either, as far as I don't know, man. It's just
Yeah, I think
weird.
that's definitely bad. It's weird. It's like you're taking someone's legacy, and I think definitely what they're talking about now is how will that be as far as in the legal sense? What will you owe an artist? Can you just recreate an artist? But it would definitely be unfortunate for the people that, you know, you're not calling them anymore because you can just utilize their voice and create the song if they don't manage it.
Yeah. It's a huge shift going on in the music industry now based on what you just said. And the laws around this is still in the gray area, and they moving slow on purpose because they want to do underhanded stuff. So labels don't really want to sign humans. They want your likeness. In the future, people ain't gonna be working with record labels no more. People just are gonna go to the label with their CD. I said CD. People are gonna go to the label with their music, right? They're gonna not be trying to sell themselves, but literally sell their likeness and music to where once I take this big fat check, then the label can use my voice, my style, and all that to make as many albums as it want with AI, with an AI version of me that's indistinguishable from me, but it ain't me. So I would take the bag and go live out my life, and they would own that likeness, that persona, not me, but that part of me. That would literally be the direct definition of selling your soul. Shout out to the sister Sarada Amaru for the super chat. She said, much needed live stream salutes to you, Big Bro Sanchez, and his sister speaking so eloquently. Thank you so much, Sister Sarada. Appreciate the love as always. And shout out to Data Way, man. How much for Sophia Stewart? You know, I got a bill with Sophia Stewart. I'm going to re-upload it. A salute to Ambitions of a Rider for becoming a member of the channel. Much love to you. Much love to you, sister.
Yes, yes, salute and thank you. So when you had that interview with Sophia Stewart, I thought it was awesome. It was so good as far as everything that you guys tackled with her book and her going into the details of the arc. And I think this really ties into that because the arc, like she said, was energy. And there's this fight as far as for free energy, like you said. When we're looking into like the ethers and us having our own or controlling free energy for ourselves, is that something that you think we should be putting into the kids? You know, I always think about that, like, should we be starting the kids young and have them doing this research, or where should we lie in finding our own resources outside of what they give us?
Yeah, I think that anything that we're exposed to on an intellectual level that shifts our paradigm to more thinking outside the box, what we call enlightenment, I think we should expose to them too. Even if you have a theory that's wrong, it teaches children how to not see, because school has taught us a false way of learning. They give you an answer and they say repeat the answer, and if you don't repeat what they said, you got it wrong. How is that learning? If they say, look, Columbus discovered America in what year? Boom, and you don't make the right year, then boom, that's programming. You giving me the answer, and I don't find the truth myself. You know, there's no investigation or critical thinking. And this education system that they in, it's based upon an old system that's literally made to create a slave, a consumer, a person that think less, spend more, and react more to propaganda. So, and that's exactly what we're getting. But as far as free energy and all that, we definitely need to expose the kids to that. We need to get back into studying the ether. We need to get back into looking into these old patents that was based upon the ether, because the people that created that technology knew something about the earth that we don't know. The ether is like an ocean that we all live in. It's like we're fish walking on the bottom of an ocean now. That's all the ether is, and this is an invisible medium that everything that exists sits within, and it's like water, meaning you can use it as a conduit for electricity. This is how we send wireless signals. We send radio waves. Waves have to travel through a medium, just like waves in the ocean. So they hid the secrets of the ether. They said that the ether don't exist, but that's crazy. People don't even know how wireless technology works. If the ether didn't exist, you couldn't have Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't have those waves communicating, and I definitely think so. I think we're just, I mean, um, like you said, since we had the testing, it was always, this is the answer, go. We've just been so indoctrinated, I feel like, especially even when it comes to math and science, to really feel like that's not our thing. We rely on other people. So it's kind of, where can we get the mindset of people that are open to this without relying on the next generation to come up with these ideas? Because so many people are just like, yeah, no way. That doesn't make sense, or they're talking against it like there's no way that can be true because a professor never said it, or they never learned about it in school.
Yeah. You know, I'm showing a collage right now, sister, and it has Tesla, one of Tesla's greatest inventions on it. That's the Tesla coil. This is what this is what the North Pole is, and this is what the sky and the stars is. The Earth is if we're able to get energy, we don't create energy. You can't create or destroy energy. Just like the water we drink, we didn't make it, we can't destroy it. We just build technology to harness and siphon to pull the water to a system where we can access it, but we didn't make the water. So the same way with energy, if we use an energy, where does it come from? It's because the earth is a huge Tesla coil. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, sister, is because this is going to answer the question, why is flat earth so important? It's deeper than just flat earth, right? It's the fact that they don't want us to know what the earth is because they're hiding free energy. You see, the earth is a huge Tesla coil that's giving us free energy. The North Pole is the pole of a Tesla coil. And the way that the star wraps up, let me show you. Let me show you this. My typing is horrible, but here's the sky right here. All of the luminaries going around Polaris, the North Star. It's the zodiac wheel. And here's the Tesla coil. This is ancient cosmology that I got up here too. And then I got an explosion to show us that on a cosmic level, on a macro level, the shape of the Tesla coil is literally showing us how energy expands. And that's what that's what the Tesla coil is creating, the expanse, the firmament dome. So this would be like the pole in the middle of a tent that's being pitched, but the tent is an invisible magnetic energy field that's being created around the pole, and that's what we call the ether, a field of energy, a sea of energy, and we just can pull from it with technology freely. But they making us pay for it, and energy cost is the foundation to inflation, my sister. They able to make the cost of living go up, but the worth of money go down, because they saying that it's costing us more money to even make money because energy cost is high, and they can run this debt game on us of debt and say, well, look, well, we got to raise the prices on everything because gas high, energy high, when really the truth is this is an artificially created scarcity. And really there's abundance out here. We ain't even, fuel is a hoax. We can be powering our cars and everything with magnetism and compressed air systems and all that. Freely. You don't need gas, none of that. This was the old world that they destroyed. And they created a world of gasoline and oil and false lies like they are burning dead dinosaurs for energy. And we believe the most craziest stuff. We think that a Tyrannosaurus Rex died, and that's why I'm powering my computer right now, because he turned into fossil fuels under the ground. Oh my God. You know, but they had free energy with these crazy stories.
Right, and that makes sense too, of like not getting too deep into flat earth, but of this question of why would they spend so much on NASA? And people always ask, what is it about? Do they have such this big conspiracy? And it's because of these things, because they're trying to keep us from seeing that we don't need to rely on these certain technologies or anything. We could come up with our own energy source, our own way to travel, our own way of life, even food. But this just keeps us distracted. We have to be like, this is the way the earth is. This is the way science goes. We have to rely on the experts and stay in our place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. In a world of debt, slavery, consumption, scarcity is what they built on top of a utopia of abundance and free energy systems and people going all over the world in airships. And these airships were so huge, you know, they had fine dining on them and all that. It was just an amazing world that was written out of history. And I think it's one of the most important parts of history that we need to know about, because it debunks the idea of an ancient world. Like Egypt, Babylon, all these was part of a whole network of infrastructure of an advanced civilization we call Tartaria, and this was just in the near past. So when we think of the pyramids and all these structures around the world, we think thousands of years old, but we literally need to think hundreds of years old. A near past utopia.
And do you see them like it being like the Gregorian calendar that came in and just reset how we looked at that? Or is it more in depth than just the Gregorian calendar is why we look at things as ancient?
The Gregorian calendar play a role, but the fact that the people that they was telling history, if they wiped out everything, almost all of the Earth population, let's say 200-300 years ago, then the new humans that would have been on the Earth after that, some of them would have had knowledge of the old world. Some of them would be brand new humans that's born into a world that they don't know nothing about this old world utopia, right? And the new people would just say, you know what? These structures that y'all see is thousands and thousands of years old. How would you know if you was just born in a world that was just bouncing back after the reset? How would you know how old the ruins is, and would you even question it? And why would they want to lie about how old that stuff is? Because they can create the concept of this happened so ancient ago, it'll give them enough time to let evolution take place and say that we come from Australopithecus. See, they need millions of years and all this shit to have evolution. They got to start with we started going way back there. But see, civilization and the evolution timeline, it happens 10,000 years ago. So if the earth was reset just 300 years ago, then they can tell all the new humans that the structures we see are tens of thousands of years old, when really they just hundreds of years old. And when you look at them, they definitely look hundreds of years old. Like this was just a near past utopia. of an advance. And why would they do that? Because they want to get rid of the fact that just 200-300 years ago, people had electromagnetic energy systems. Think of all these castles with the big chandeliers. They told us people was burning candles on that shit. You know how heavy them chandeliers is? Them shits weigh tons. You can't just drop them down every couple of hours and change 500. It would have been 500 candles on there.
Right.
So the people was lighting that with electricity, but there was no lines being ran, which lets me know that the building itself was generating energy. The architecture itself acted as an energy device to pull energy directly from the ether. And you see a lot of decorative antennas and steeples on top of these buildings and all that. That was the old energy system technology. It wasn't just beautiful decoration. We see beautiful streets with Victorian street lamps that's going down for tens of miles, 20 miles, man. Who gonna go change them lamps every day with gas? You know there had to be electricity. That would have been crazy. Every 2-3 times a day, you gotta go change tens of thousands of lamps.
Yeah, there'd be tons of jobs just for the just to
Yeah,
change the candle or
that
add on to it.
right. You know, so it's just crazy how our whole life is a lie that they told so they can create a world of scarcity and us thinking that we got to keep paying for energy, water, and all this, even air. And we don't know how abundant and how rich the earth is and what the earth is and how it's just free energy, you know, everything, you know, this ancient civilization that was deleted, there was no money and all of that. It was just sovereignty. Is you know, they try to say about how it was in the Garden of Eden, but the systems that was built were public systems that everyone just enjoyed freely. There were no prisons, there was no sicknesses. And it's crazy because I believe it was such an advanced earth. They was an entire different type of human than what we are today. And they try to say, well, they were ancient aliens. No, they wouldn't. They were old world, the original humans that we were before we were genetically modified and bred after the reset to be smaller and die quicker and to use less of our brain. So, but they like to say that our ancestors were like jungle dwellers. No, they built stone empires. But I don't
Yeah,
really
there's
want to.
definitely
Yeah.
a lot of evidence that the technology is far advanced. I've always thought about that too, of just how different things they've tried to cut granite and that hard stone so straight and have perfect lines, and they haven't found what it would be. Said maybe lasers, but they can't even do it with lasers. It just only makes sense that energy is the only thing that could get it to splice so easily and to be able to carry such large stones.
No, that you already see. You've done any research on Tartaria? Seems
I've
like,
seen some stuff talking about like ancient Tartar, but I haven't seen a lot of different sources on it.
yeah, you know, the people who came to America, right? Let me just show you some stuff, for example, right? You know, you get this history of pilgrims coming over on wooden ships with African slaves on the ships, and the pilgrims and the Africans getting off the ships, and the African slaves is building America with the pilgrims. They start to build America. That's a
Right.
lie. Yeah, that's a lie. When the pilgrim put up on his wooden ships, he saw buildings like this. Look here. This from the 1800s right here. Now, the pilgrim was building wooden shacks in the 1900s. Let me just show you this. Let's go to the Wild Wild West and let's show what the pilgrim was building. Because remember now, he got stories of lumberjack Paul Bunyan. They were wood builders. And this is shabby little towns that they were building. But in the background of these shabby little towns was huge buildings like this. And they want us to think that the Pilgrim built that. See, the truth, Dulcinea, is that the indigenous copper-colored people of this land, when living in huts and mounds and teepees, they had stone structures. These buildings right here that I'm showing was the indigenous architecture from the people that descended from the Olmecs. And over time, the people that built those colossal stone heads, they had advanced in their architecture to where just 200 years ago, look at the kind of buildings we see in America. And we know the people who had hammers and chisels building wood houses and dirt roads, horse and carriage, one building stuff like this with no hammer and chisel. So they deleted history. This stuff was built with advanced cranes, and it's intricate architecture that we ain't building like this no more. Like, look at this. This the U.S. Capitol. The Pilgrims didn't build this. African slaves from West Africa didn't build it. Because when you go to West Africa, you see all of them are descending from tribes in the jungle. And guess what? In the background of the jungle around Africa, you will see this same architecture. You can put in Tartarian African architecture. So what Tartaria is, it's this worldwide empire, like a new world order. The Bible talked about it before they split the language up. We was all speaking one language. It was one architecture style. All around the world, you see this same Goth type architecture. And this was the Tartarian Empire. It's been hidden right in front of our face. Look, this San Francisco. The antenna at the top of those would pull free energy from the ether. And all of these buildings were part of a free energy network all around the world. A worldwide free energy grid, star forts and all that. So Pilgrims want us to think they built this, but they was building shabby wooden shacks on dirt roads, hammers and chisels. So this is the part of history that was deleted. And when we talk about the people in the jungle, let me show you something real quick. Watch this. The people in these tribes that's on the jungle, they were Tartarians too. But after the reset, they were put in human zoos. The children were. They wiped out all of the Tartarian ancestors, and the new children, they bred them on human zoos. Look at this. So the new generation of Tartarians didn't know nothing about how great they were. And this is how they created these jungle tribes. When you look in the jungle and see these tribes walking barefoot and all that, the truth is that ain't even their original form. They have been, listen, that's a new kind of human, and this is just a theory. Let me put a disclaimer. This is just a theory. And it makes a lot of sense to me that the people that they said primitive, they point to these people in the jungle and they say, them our ancestors. All of us used to be in the jungle. That ain't true, because everyone was just in a big advanced utopia of stone Victorian empire on the earth. And then after they wiped all the earth out to just a few million, the people who built that stone empire, the few of them that was left over, they children were bred on human zoos. And that's why we think we come from jungles and tribes, because the jungle tribe was artificially made at world fairs. This is a world fair. And people would pay money to come see the old world humans, because all of the new humans was just inheriting a new world, walking around seeing these stone buildings that these people ancestors built. And they was like, wow, so these are the people from the old world. These are their children. And they put you on a zoo. And they didn't even let you know that you built these stone structures in the background. So all of the people that was born after that, they come from the humans that literally was born, they was in the jungle. Like when they say they freed us from slavery, but we stayed, enslaved. Like how did the saying go? They freed you barefoot or some shit like that. I forgot how they said it. But the point is this. There was something called human zoos. People need to research them. They was all around the world. People was paying to see other humans and animal like tribal people in the jungle and stuff. And they was looking at them like, wow, that's crazy. They living like animals, like the Tarzan movie. Guess what? Humans we did never come from the jungle. I used to think my entire life humans evolved from the jungle and all that. And now I'm realizing humans have always been technologically advanced beings on the earth. And there is no evolution where we come from out the jungle with barefoot, because when you go back to in history, you find that most of these tribes around the world, their ancestors can go back to like the 1800s, 1900s from a zoo, from a damn zoo. These was worldwide. To me, they was creating the new tribal human. And when they release these people from the human zoos, what you think gonna happen? They gonna go to the jungle because you bred them like that. I think when they started releasing these folks from the human zoos, they said, we freed the slaves. But no, you didn't, because the slavery is in their mind. So they went right back into the jungle, living like beasts and animals. This is my theory, and it make a lot of sense. There's a lot of support that there was a reset on the earth and they changed everything we know about ourselves. But I don't want to hog the mic, sister.
No, you're not, because I had a question. So where they say there's this East and West divide, is that coming after the reset? Is that something that helped with the reset? Because they say some cataclysm or some way there had to be a divide between the Western society and the Eastern society in Tartaria.
Well, I haven't really heard about the divide. I'll check more into it. But in my theory, I'm thinking that there was a silent infiltration, because after the reset, Freemasons were the founders of most of the world governments, not just America. And that's interesting that a secret society members, what was the secret? The secret probably was of the reset, the old world, the history that was just being deleted on the earth. Everyone had to swear to secrecy to the new science, the new history that was forged. And this was hidden. The whole Tartarian history was hidden. That's the greatest.
And that was going to be my second question. Do you think that some people made deals? I guess like you were saying, like the 1% and these people coming in, and they're trying to keep us like less smart, not having us under them. Did people make deals in that to come, and do they know the truth even though the reset happened?
We got gate
like
guard.
Actual humans like us, I guess.
Oh yeah, we got the gate guards at the top of every community controlling the narrative. And what we mean by a gate, of course, it ain't a physical gate. It's a communicative barrier, intellectual barrier, an ideological barrier, conceptual barrier, meaning that you're not allowed to think outside of the given ideologies that they given us. Reptilian, lizard people, Jesus Christ, Allah, Buddha. They giving you a bunch of different things that you could choose from, like a supermarket of ideologies, and you ain't able to shop outside that supermarket. So, and they got different people in every race keeping you in that supermarket, saying, well, up what you doing? And they gonna laugh at you. They gonna say, oh, that's pseudo. The Christians gonna say that's satanic. They got these verbal weaponry that they use to keep everyone in their social boxes, or their ideological boxes based upon social hazing. You know, people don't want to be laughed at for shopping outside the supermarket, if you will. You know what I'm saying? That everyone else shop at, like, and that's how it really goes. Like, if you get too big, you're gonna have to debate the people in your group that have built institutions on the lie. For example, the rich pastors, the rich rabbis, the big Muslims, the Nation of Islam gonna come for you, right? The Hebrew Israelites gonna come for you. All these big institutions and organizations in your group that have built their organizations based upon the lies, they gonna fight to keep their traditions going, to keep their false identities going. And that's what the gate guards are. You're the lone ranger with these unique ideas. Even though they make sense, they're not popular. The popular ideas are the different institutions they've given us that they pre-chosen. You can have these and nothing else. And it's a hard fight.
And so when you say like they give us certain things and say like you can have this or nothing else, is that witchcraft to keep us from looking into different things, like putting a spell on different people, as far as when you look into the Quran, or people that are stuck in the Bible, or people stuck with the Yaqub story? Is that stuff to keep us from actually finding the truth?
Exactly. And because when you what they did, they traded truth for tradition. And our subconscious mind, it knows truth through repetition. For example, 2 + 2 is 4. It's always 4. 100 years from now is gonna be 4. It's gonna be 4 no matter what. That's consistency. You can kind of create the same effect with tradition, even if it's a lie. If you have people repeat it generation after the next, then the subconscious will equate that with truth. And that's how you get religions and all these different ideologies that we stuck in. People's subconscious have put it in the same box that they put up is up, down is down, 2 + 2 is 4, Jesus is God, right? So they subconscious have been rewired to put the lie in the truth box, and it have really fucked. That's what we call being mind effed. But and that's hard to get out of, because they don't want to take this God, this ideology out of the truth box, because their subconscious, they've been programmed. This thing have bypassed the part of them that will scrutinize it to see if it's truth or not. And it have found its way into the truth section of their brains. And once it's there, people will die like that, man. That's like telling them 2 + 2 ain't 4 when you telling them Jesus ain't real or Satan ain't real. You know what I'm saying? Because they literally
Their life is dependent on it, or anything and everything. And it's hard to see how you move forward. Like, do you have to say that you leave those people behind?
I think if they're willing to speak, then we gotta be willing to teach, but we can't force it on them. And we gotta create ways to make them want to come and engage in it. And what'll happen, they'll show up with their cognitive dissonance trying to debate you and challenge it, but really they're intrigued with the conversation and they're in awe about the ideas like everyone else. But what happens is they take it as offensive that you made them think or you made them question their ideology. Part of them likes the intrigue feeling of it, like, wow, that is a good thing to engage in verbally, like it's something about it, right? And they don't know that some is just the truth. They turns it and redefine it into offense, and it's like you're challenging their belief. And they'll fight for their tradition over the truth because they think of their grandmother, their mother, their neighborhood, their community. Everyone says this is true, right? And we've been saying this is true for hundreds of years, and now you got this young dude right? In his 40s, smoking weed, telling all of us we wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's hard. That's hard to fight against.
Yes, and I think definitely just even being like it's something that is not a belief or another religion is something that a lot of people go against. Like this is just another religion repackaged in some way. But I definitely think it's something that we should have more conversations about. I'm really enjoying this conversation, and thank you, Brother Sanchez, for having it with me, because I think we do have to find the balance of how we adapt to this new society that's coming in and how we put ourselves first in it and what we need to do and what's our first objectives. I think we need to decide that like quickly.
Yeah, we do. And if people are showing us the steps for that, it's gonna really be the intellectual property, like the music industry. In my opinion, is gonna really have to change in order to be relevant as humans moving forward. And I'm gonna tell you what I really think gonna happen. I think that in a crazy way, this could actually flip and turn out to be a good thing, because I'm getting a vision in my head, right? That the music gonna get so AI. People gonna be generating songs. People gonna be in a world where everything is generated music with no life to it, right? And the market gonna be saturated with AI slop, AI generated music, AI artists everywhere you turn, from the car radio to TikTok, everywhere. And what that's gonna do, if there's still some organic humans out there that's making music the old way, that'll be like living in a world where everybody driving Teslas. But if you want an old ass Cadillac or an old ass antique, you still can go get it in its natural form. The past and the future will be a market simultaneously. And I think that it's gonna really make some chosen ones say, you know what, in order to stand out in this new world of AI slop, we're gonna create our music where every single thing in the music is human. And it's gonna be our marketing strategy, selling tactic is gonna be this. The name of a concept that I wanted to come with is MBH, made by humans. That'll be the stamp on the music, the clothes, all that. That listen, this was made by humans, because in the future you're gonna need to label that. Like that's gonna be a big selling tactic, if you ask me, to people who
Right.
still value human work. To you're gonna put that on your product, like, look, made by humans. I wish I can be the man that patent that damn, like the fucking Surgeon General's warning. Look, your shit made by humans, and I can verify that there was no AI involved in this damn process of making this, and it's fully made 100% by humans. You know, I'll be the agency for that shit. That's where the future need to be. And then, and if your shit made by humans, you get to charge more. It's like antique organic shit.
Right. Especially heavily on the organic, because that's what they're really doing away with in every aspect, it seems like right now. Just organic way of life is in jeopardy.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Like, cause think about it. If you got a person, kids having a spelling bee, and these two kids got the Neuralink chip, they smart as hell, but it's a kid that ain't got the chip and he's competing with them. That's gonna be way more impressive. That's just a wild example, though. I can see that as a scene in a movie. It's crazy. But
That would be. But did you want to open up the panel too? Or did
I
you
was,
want to?
yeah. Let's see if somebody want to come up. That's a good idea at this time. I'm dropping a link in the chat now. Salutes to everybody in the chat and appreciate y'all's support tonight. There's the link though. Let me pin that Come on up, y'all. Shout out to Data Way Man, Ambitions of a Rider, Sarada Amaru, and Joshua Tellington. Shout out to Hydrogen. Appreciate all of y'all for showing support. Click that link and come build with us if you want to push back, if you want smoke, or if you agree, if you just want to interject, whatever. Then hit the link. Yeah, I don't think it's never should be considered fear mongering though, because people have a natural instinct to question new stuff that's brought out rapidly. That's just like the Operation Warp Speed that Trump had brought up. I don't think nobody should just, yeah, give it to me. Come on, bring it on in. Everything should be screened properly so we can see the pros and cons of it. But a lot of people, they be so quick to implement this into their lifestyle, and they hop on a wave that they'll defend it. They'll just with no real proof, because even the people that's rolling out the AI would tell us we don't really know how this is gonna affect us. It could affect us bad. It could affect us good. Like, what's crazy about the people in power, they're more honest than the fans and fanatics, because they'll sit up there right in your face with CERN and tell you this shit may destroy the whole earth and open up a black hole. But some fanatic will be like, you're pseudo, it's not gonna destroy the earth. And I'll be like, bro, the people who made the shit said that it can potentially do it. You know, like the people who control AI, who create it, is concerned about it. But some other guy will tell you, man, don't be worried about it. That's dangerous, man. That's crazy.
Right. And it's kind of the same thing, like the same playbook that went down with COVID. I feel like even though definitely there's aspects like to the jab that are real, that really did harm people, it's still like a case study that they're doing on us to be like, okay, what can we get them to say? What can we get them to do? As long as an authority tells them to do it, are they willing to inject something that is just a new technology we know nothing about? We don't know the side effects. And they saw millions of people are willing to do that.
Billions, if you ask me, hell yeah. Click the link, y'all.
Yeah, it
Come
is
on up.
probably billions now.
Yeah, I just dropped the link again. I don't think nobody is coming up. I'll give us some time, but yeah, we can close on out if don't nobody want to come up, man. This was an epic show in my opinion.
Yes, it was. And I thank you again as far as for having this conversation. And hopefully we can just keep having more to come. I did have a question, with your how you feel politically and FBA. Where do you feel like they fit into all of this and moving forward?
I don't think um they fit into it at all. This is like a Sanchez thing. See, like FBA is just a lineage. Like if a person say, "Well, I'm Haitian or I'm Nigerian." Now you may have some Nigerians that's into tech conversations and deep stuff like this. You may have just some regular Nigerians that work every day. I can only speak for me. Now I do need to have some streams that's centered around seeing where FBA, who all are the tech people in the FBA. Like, I ain't gonna lie, that does need to happen if that's what you asking. That's a next step that I would challenge us to do, where we start networking, seeing who is who got certain skills, if that's what you mean, for sure. But
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that, but for sure. And like also on a political spectrum, when they're formulating these new policies of how they'll run AI, to have different voices in there and not just the same old definitely would benefit because they need to hear, what the people want as well, as far as just what's even going to happen in the music industry, or how they're going to go far with how intellectual property is handled when AI is used. Like your idea made by humans. That's something definitely that people can push for, but we have to push for it in the right rooms. You know what I mean?
You know what? I would say the law to that would have to read something like, for me, in a fair world, to protect humans' intellectual property and to protect your soul, basically, I would say, and shout out to RG, I would say this, right? In the future, any AI generated entity, we got to use entity. We just can't say artist. We want to cover all bases. So any AI generated entity that's based upon this much percentage or more of a person's likeness, that person owns this percentage of that entity. 50%, 75%, boom. That'll be the language of the future moving forward. And it'll be like a person couldn't even use your shit without coming to you like that. Like how YouTube come to you with a contract to be a creator. But that'll be the whole foundation language of this new world. This is where we need to shift to. Suno, all of these AI platforms that's using artists, you should send them some type of message or whatever, and it's like a business contract. Do you want the deal, like a sponsorship situation, whatever? We like your likeness. We gonna use your personality, and this how much of your personality we using, and this exactly what we doing with it. And here go the percentage amounts of how much of this AI generated entity you own. This would be the equivalent of you owning a percentage of your masters in the music industry. Shout out to RG.
Peace, RG.
RG, welcome to the bill.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Sorry, I had to fight with the mute button here. Yeah, man. I'm glad you guys are having this talk. Because it's important that, I think it's important to have a healthy amount of fear, right? Of course, like you said, bro, that comes with, being human. But I do think that also don't let that fear make your choices, for you. Just like with anything, we're gonna have to struggle, already as humans, we're struggling, right? On different topics. But, when now you throw in the whole, this whole new movement of, like you say, likenesses and trying to, how would you say that? People want to always go against what they fear. It's just natural, right? But if you can fight that long enough to, see what this technology can do for us, like if we do have a business or something like that, or if you love to do research, right? But you want to, usually we just read everything, right? And, instead AI now skims through and picks out and, makes these things convenient as far as research processes. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I would say get like-minded people together that, want to work on certain areas and see what this technology can do for them. And then, other forms of like politics or whatever. If you get into that, AI maybe can, help you write your legislation or whatever. But I guess you see where I'm going with it. Like if we don't if we don't fight our fear long enough, or just use our healthy fear to set aside for a moment and see what it can do for us. Now, I mean, I've written in these topics, and then also merging different topics like digital simulation theories with nanominds and transhumanist integration. So I think the way I use AI would just be to merge multiple topics, to put forth, what is really going on. Like, what are all these long research papers that people put out that we have no time to really read ourselves? Can we go get all those, say, 10 documents at a time, and then 10 documents from another part of society, and merge 20 documents, right, down to like a 5-page, easier read for people, right? And then also, you know, the AI with my research, you know, you get to list all your sources, all your citations, where the information comes from, those kind of things. So I think in that way it's helped me, you know what I mean? And uh, you know, even dealing with like military electromagnetic warfare, like, you know, how is that merging with the gaming industry, kind of thing. And it's just helped me a lot to figure out what the, you know, what the F is going on, like in our society, right? Like where, you know, instead of relying on what people are going to tell us, you know, let's go make this work for us for a minute. And then, but that's just my, you know, in my opinion, I think it works in that way for me.
Yeah, I respect your opinion. I respect it. And I want to say welcome to the call, Anwar. How you doing?
Hey, yo, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, I respect that,
Yeah,
RG. Yeah,
yo,
salutes to you, man. You
But
got it.
I do think AI, when it comes to AI governing things, like you know, autonomous weapon systems and shit like that, that's when it gets deep. Like we should be worried. You know,
Yeah,
and with
we
the,
already there
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, we're already there. So, absolutely.
yo, hey,
But yeah, I'll let him go ahead.
I wanted to ask for the Sanchez. Did you get my email?
Nah, I wasn't checking them while I was live.
Oh, yeah, I sent you something. It was about this Netflix house doing this virtual reality spot they got going on. They say they like they like copy the likeness, your voice and stuff. Um, you heard of it? It's called Netflix House.
What was it called again? I'm looking through here now.
It's called It's called Netflix House. It's like in the terms of agreements, they like it's like copying your likeness and copying your voice and stuff. But
Your
it's like
mic kind
it's
of muffled. But I would say just shoot me a new email so I won't have, cuz I can't really find it. I got a bunch of stuff and I got to get ready to shut down. I don't want to waste the time, but yeah, actually yeah, I do got to get up out of here, man. But we going to be doing a new one here shortly. This has been a fire bill though, man. I appreciate the callers. But yeah, we're going to continue this in the future. Peace and love to everybody. I got to get
Peace
up
and
out
love,
of here.
brother. Hey, I
Peace
did
and
want to
love to
mention
you.
just before you go, brother,
Yeah, for
that
sure.
a lot of these papers, like on the real important topics that's going on right now outside of like politics and all that. I'm talking like, you know, the smart dust, the neural, you know, that all the things that you've mentioned before, and you know, I've compressed them into these papers. Where could I send some? I like to, you know, may even for the whoever's in the
I got my,
listening now would
you know,
like that kind of stuff.
yeah, I mean, my email is talktoBroSanchez@gmail, and my P.O. box is in the video description. So I'm definitely
Okay,
there for that for sure. Just hit me up, let me know when you send it in for sure. But yeah, and
yeah,
email me if you have any more questions. That's for anybody for sure. Appreciate
right on.
y'all.
So talk to Bro Sanchez at
hey, yo,
gmail.com.
Yeah.
I dropped the link in the
Okay,
chat.
got you.
All right.
Y'all take care. Peace and love, brother.
All right. Peace and love. Appreciate y'all. Once again, salutes to all of my Patreons, all of the channel members. We'll see y'all on the next one. Salutes to all of the viewers and subscribers. Much love, y'all.